I honestly cannot believe what I am about to tell you all. It's to the point where I feel like I got spoiled on something, but no, it's not a spoiler, but I wish you all saw my reaction when I found this out. I was reading some comments on the latest Senran Kagura episode, and after continuing to play the Hebijo route, I actually made the comment that I wondered if the writer was different from the Hanzo to the Hebijo route. And so I did some research and dug up some old interviews, and I found the name of the person who was responsible for writing the story. Well, more so filling in the gaps. The creator of the series was still responsible for the main ideas, but an actual writer needed to come in to put the story together. That person in question is Yukinori Kitajima. And apparently he's responsible for writing the series as a whole. So I'm doing a quick Google search to see if there was anything that I recognized outside of the series that would give me an indicator on what I would think of things in the future. And as I was going through it, I was like, yeah, like I expected, nothing he wrote I am familiar with. Until I got to the bombshell. You read the title correctly. The main writer for the Senran Kagura series also wrote a Fire Emblem game. And not just anyone, he was involved in writing Fire Emblem Fates. Now I'm expecting that there are many people out there who, you don't know what that means. So I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I got to tell you guys this because you got to hear this. First off, if you're unaware, the Fire Emblem series is one of my favorite series. I've been playing the games for a long time now, and I'm currently playing Fire Emblem Three Houses on my second channel. As far as Fire Emblem Fates, I actually spent over 500 hours on that particular game. But Fire Emblem Fates is a bit of a weird one, to say the least, when it comes to Fire Emblem games. From what I could tell, the general public liked it, but the Fire Emblem community had a lot of resentment to it and felt that it was a huge departure from what the series was known for. Why? We'll take a look at things like this.
Time for me to have my dessert. Ooh, tasty. Ah, I see you missed your big sister.
Simply put, Fire Emblem Fates has to be the most fan service game of all the Fire Emblem games. Does that sound familiar? Like we're kind of diving into the realm of another series? This part here is the kicker. In many of the recent Fire Emblem games, you can choose who you want to end up with. And I think the biggest example of that is Fire Emblem Fates. And I chose someone different in all three of the routes. Though granted, when you first start the game, there is someone who, as soon as I saw them, rarely do I experience this when I see a character, but I was like, as soon as I'm able, I'm wifing that. It was a done deal. But then that character turned out to be the only person in the game who wasn't an option. And yes, I do mean the only one. The game is about choosing a side between your blood relatives or the family who raised you. Yeah, they options. In fact, the clip I showed was of Corrin's older sister from the family who raised them. She is very much an option if you're male. But anyways, that's beside the point. My choices. And you all realize why this is relevant in a second. My first one was Azura. My final one was Felicia. I know you don't know who these characters are. Trust me, it's the second one that matters. Because she is a ninja named Kagero. And this is what she looks like. When I tell you, dadgummit, someone on my channel who's been here for a long time by the name of Mitch. Mitch and I go way back, and he mentioned how it seems like all my playthroughs are connected. Never did I imagine that something like this would happen. Now, and granted, okay, let me say this about Kagero. Her personality is exactly like Shamir's, who I chose in Fire Emblem Three Houses, so that was a reason. Nevertheless, Kagero seems like she would fit perfectly in Senran Kagura. So yeah, so what does that mean for me, and do I think I will like the remaining stories? Because, like I said, Fire Emblem Fates by the Fire Emblem community, it's treated differently. Well, here's the thing. One of the biggest complaints about Fire Emblem Fates is that there seems to be a disconnect with the characters from the story and their supports. And supports are basically when characters interact with other characters, they can get their ranks up and then they can end up getting together, getting married later on. And the disconnect between the main story and the supports was so great that people felt like characters that they flat out hated and the main story became some of their favorite characters and the supports. And that's what's interesting. The writer of the Senran Kagura series was responsible for those supports. When people felt like it was a different game entirely, it's actually because it was. Because he wasn't responsible for writing either of the main two routes, which is Birthright and Conquest. When you choose Fire Emblem Fates, those are normally the two games you buy. And then you can buy the DLC route, Revelations, separately. That is what he wrote, which is like the ultimate route where both teams come together. And I was actually thinking to myself, I was like, I'm used to Fire Emblem games where they have these supports that flesh out the characters. While Fates might not be the best example of that. Clearly, this man has experience. And he's not the creator of the Senran Kagura series. He's just the writer, the one to try to help flesh out the creator's ideas. All that being said, I spent 500 plus hours in Fire Emblem Fates, mainly due to how the supports were done. And the routes as well, but to be honest, one of the routes, Birthright, if you're familiar with the Petra strat that I did in Fire Emblem Three Houses, yeah, that's what I did in Birthright, but I can't say this changes my expectations for what happens in the future because, like I said, what I'm currently seeing is exactly what I was hoping for. But I'm now really starting to wonder if there might be a change to my banner in the future. To be honest, I really need to upgrade my banner for my second channel. I should have done that a long time ago, but if I had played Fate, some of those characters would have been up there, and I did not regret my decision with Kagero. So, upon making that realization, there is one character that I'm interested to meet. I don't know if they'll have anything to do with each other, but either way. With that being said, I just had to tell you all because of all the series that it could have been, for it to be a Fire Emblem game that he worked on, it just seems like it was meant to be for me to play this series. So, with that being said, hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you all next time.